previous class was on industrialization, right? So we did industrialization, and then we said industrialization is what is a policy by the government, right, to set up more industries in the country. Okay. We also remember saying that industrialization is not only about setting up more industries. We can have existing industries, and then also we can the government can also expand the existing industries. So both ways is still what's industrialization. I hope we are clear with that. And we went through the types of industrialization, the strategies. We did that. So it's in the previous class we had. If you have not gone through, please kindly go through. Okay. So today's one, we will want to focus on some things that are related to industrialization. So it's also part. And then one of it is what we call indigenization. Okay. So you want to find out what do we mean by indigenization? Indigenization, as if the words are big in my mouth. So we want to find out what do we mean by indigenization. Okay. So indigenization. So don't worry if the word is looking so big, I'll put it on the platform. The slides are almost ready. So once we are done with this topic, I'll put it on the platform. Okay. So indigenization. This is a deliberate, so intentional, like an intentional thing, policy of the government that is aimed at making the people of the country, the citizens or the indigenous people. When I mean indigenous, it means that the local people that belongs to the country, that are from the other country, that are citizens of that country, right? So it is a deliberate policy of the government. The government made that policy. And the main aim is to make sure that those who are the local people, the owners of that country, I mean the indigenous people or the citizens, actively participate in economic activities. So I'm repeating the statement again. Indigenization is a deliberate policy of the government aimed at making the people of the country or the indigenous. Sorry, my colleague is saying she like making noise. So that's the one. So it's a deliberate policy of the government aimed at making the people of the country or the indigenous or the citizens actively participate in economic activities such as industrialization in the country to reduce capital flight. So what we mean by indigenization is that the government is aiming at making sure, yes, it's like intentional thing he wants to do because he has an aim. Yes, hi, I'm seeing some people saying hi. Welcome to today's class, okay? And then, oh, okay, yes, our Indian friends are in today. You are welcome, our Indian friends. You are welcome to the class. Okay, so we were saying that this policy is an intentional thing that the government does, right? And this thing, what this plan that he does is that he wants people in the country to take active participation in the things that are happening in the country. And one of the things that he wants to add to it is the industrialization. We are talking about industrialization. So we are saying that if you want to talk about indigenization, right? Oh, okay. So, okay, I'm seeing my Indian friends chatting us. Hi, welcome to the class. Okay. So we are saying that the government will just make this plan, like the plan is like, it's an intentional thing. And this intentional thing is that this plan is to make sure that everybody that belongs to, if you are in Ghana, you say anyone who is a Ghanaian citizen, if you are in India, anyone who is an Indian citizen, because my Indian friends are here, that's why I'm mentioning their names, okay? If you are in Togo, anyone that is in, okay, so anyone, so Kumar is saying that he's studying 9th standard. Oh, okay, good to hear that. So anyone that is in Ghana or that is how do we call it, a Ghanaian, or that is if you are your country, so depending on which country you are coming from, anyone from that country, right? The government wants to makes intentional policies to make sure that whatever is going on in the country, you the citizen, you're also doing some. Okay, not like you sit down and say that, okay, I'm not part any industry, I'm not part anything that's happening in the country, I'm not part. No, this is an intentional plan that the government makes to make sure that any activity, be it building of schools, hospitals, industries, whatever is going on in the country, the citizens take active part in it. And this we call indigenization. We call what? Indigenization. Okay. So let's see, we are having so many new. Okay, this is Jubilee. Okay, Jubilee, I hope you are doing fine too. Okay, so we want to say that, so I'm reiterating the definition, right? It's the deliberate policy of the government aimed at making the people of the country or the citizens, right, to actively participate in economic activities in the country, such as what we are preaching now, industrialization. So we are narrowing down the industrialization because our focus is on industrialization. Okay, so the government is trying hard that whatever is going on in the country, the people in the country should take part. If you're a Ghanaian, the people in the country should be active in everything that's going on in Ghana. They should be part of it. They say who are those who own hospitals? They should be Ghanaians should be part of it. Who are those who are contractors? They should be Ghanaians should be part of it. Who are those who are nurses? Ghanaians should be part of it. So those things are deliberate plans that every government makes, and that is called indigenization. I hope you understand. And we are saying that this is to make sure that we reduce capital flight. What we mean by capital flight is that if we have hospitals in Ghana, I'm talking about Ghana because I'm in Ghana right now, right? If your hospitals in Ghana and the hospitals are owned by maybe uh, the Indians or maybe Korean or Chinese or anyone, what can happen is that they can be there and people will say, okay, we whatever money they've made, whatever interest they have made, they are carrying it to their country. After all, it's their country, so they are sending their money back to wherever they are coming from. They can wake up one day and say that they don't want to have the company in Ghana. I remember, you know, that thing happened before. That was with this bank. Societe Generale, if you remember that bank, right? Okay, so Celestine is saying hi. Celestine, hi. Welcome to this class. So, if you remember this bank, Societe Generale, they were working with Ghana in Ghana, right, as a nice bank. And all of a sudden, they decided to leave the country. They are taking their money back. It's not for it's not for us. So they are gone with their money. So can you imagine the capital they will have? But they have so many branches almost everywhere in every region. So if they are gone, it means they are carrying their money and everything away from the country. So these are some of the things the government want to stop or reduce. For that reason, they introduce what we call indigenization. In fact, every country does that. It's the good of every country to do that. So because we are on industrialization, our focus to be that whatever industrialization is going on, setting up of industries or expanding industries, Ghanaians should be active in it. So that is what we mean by indigenization. I hope we understand, right? If you are having any questions, you type it for me to answer you, okay? So let's see some of the examples that of some of the things, deliberate plans or laws the government have made to make that happen. For instance, with the Ghana Enterprise Promotion Decree, right? They are saying that certain businesses in Ghana must not be done by any other person who is not a Ghanaian. So, for instance, those who, if you're doing retailing, how people go and retail, or how do we call it? They go and buy things like and retail. We're going to do that, I think, in this topic. I'll mention that later on, but I think the topic has escaped me. So we will say that those who are into retail businesses, you go and buy the things in bulk and come and sell. So those petty shops, small shops, the retail shops we see. In Ghana, it is not allowed for any other person who is not a Ghanaian to do that, right? It's because of this indigenization. So it's a plan. The government wants to make sure that people from other countries don't come and take over the country because every business belongs to foreigners. It's not fine. It's not safe for the country. So for that reason, any retail business trading. So when you see if anyone is a foreigner and you're taking a retail business in Ghana, it's just a matter of time that is to catch up with them, right? So what will happen is that if you are in Ghana or in any other country, or you go to any other country, you must find out their indigenization policy before you think of setting up a business. Don't be so into that. Me, I want to start a business, so just go start. You'll be there and they'll tell you whatever you are doing is illegal. If you remember that thing already, you remember, what was it last year when people went around locking the shops of Nigerians because they said they were into wrong trading, and then people were fighting back. That, okay, I say you don't understand. Okay, I'll try for you to understand. Okay, so when people were having shops, like they were having phone like shops in Ghana, they were having a lot of retail shops. The Ghanaians went around locking took the laws into their own hands and locking people's shops and everything. And so when they were asking them that is illegal, they were like, no, they are flouting the laws of Ghana. But per the laws of Ghana, according to indigenization policy of the government, no other person from any other country should set up a retail shop in Ghana. So they didn't know, the Nigerians didn't know. and then their shops were locked. You get it? People looted people's things, like the thieves also took over, and then whilst we're locking shops, people were stealing people's things. You may think that it's unfair. So you hear those things happening in other countries. I think in South Africa, and they're still doing it. That people, they will be there, they start sacking Ghanaians to go, and other country people to leave their country because they see them taking over their jobs because of this indigenous policy. So like their hands are tied. If they never pay the laws of the country, maybe foreigners are not supposed to do this and that, and then they are doing it. And the citizens rather take the laws into their own hands and start doing, maybe sacking the foreigners from their country. So in any country you find yourself, in Ghana, especially in Ghana, find out about the indigenization policy of that country before you start any business. I hope I'm clear, right? Okay. So I mentioned other things, like for instance, some of the policies, like if you cannot have foreigners driving taxis or the commercial cars in the country. No, it's not allowed in Ghana, right? Though if you are into small scale manufacturing, you are manufacturing something small, it's not allowed. Okay, so Celestine is saying that, madam, please, me too, I don't understand anything. Oh, okay. So Celestine, I was trying to say that today's topic, maybe because you joined in a little late, but I'll just quickly recap that today's topic is about, it's still on industrialization, right? And some terms that we use in industrialization, some things that are attached to industrialization. So we know that the topic is about agriculture and industrialization. They work hand in hand. But as at last class, we did industrialization. And then we are saying that in industrialization, we have some terms and some things we must take note of. As much as we are thinking of setting up industries and everything, we must take note of things. And one of them is indigenization. So I said that the indigenization, I'm going to put the slides on the platform after we are done with the topic, okay? So I was trying to explain indigenization, and I said that indigenization, as indigenous, okay, indigenization is a deliberate policy of the government aimed at making the people of the country or the indigenous or citizens actively participate in the economic activities. So I'm trying to say that indigenization is a policy that the government makes, intentional policy that the government makes to make sure that he encourages those who are the local people, who are the citizens of the country, to participate in any economic activities, such as, and I brought in the industrialization that we are doing already. Get it? So the government makes plans, laws, things to make sure that I encourage my people, my citizens, to take part in the things that are going on in the country. Things like building businesses, industries, schools, jobs, and everything. So the government's policy of indigenization is to encourage people, citizens especially, right, to make sure that they participate in everything going on in the country. If you're a Ghanaian, the government has made policy that I want these things to belong to only Ghanaians. Only Ghanaians can do this. So that's why I give the example about some in Ghana, for instance. If you are a foreigner, you cannot have a retail shop. So if you see a foreigner having those retail shops, the person is flouting the laws of Ghana. You get it? Because those things are reserved only for Ghanaians to do. So if you see the little shops in your homes, in the market, little retail shops, and the person probably is a Nigerian, is a, I'm not having anything about Nigerian, so because we are close neighbors, it's a Togolese, it's what, a Liberian and everything. You can say that the person is doing an illegal thing. I'm not saying you should go and attack the person, no, because per the laws of Ghana, we Ghanaians are only those who are allowed to have retail shops in Ghana, according to indigenization policy in Ghana. I hope I am clear now. So let's see if you have gotten me, you let me know, so that I know that I'm on the right track. Okay, so that is what we mean by indigenization, and I gave some examples, right? Examples are like you can't see foreigners driving taxi. So when you see a foreigner person driving taxi, I don't understand the language you are talking. Ask, are you a Ghanaian? They say no. You say if you're not a Ghanaian, you are not allowed to be in that business. You get it? But that is Ghana for you. So many things are allowed to go like that. Also, because of this policy, government has encouraged people to set up radio stations. So that's why you can have Akan radio stations, Ever radio stations, Gan radio stations, and everything. All these policies are helping to add, how do you call it, make sure that the indigenization policy in Ghana works. So then the indigenization policy is more or less encouraging all the citizens in the country, right, to welcome, to participate in what, in the economic activities of the country. Celestine, please, have I answered you? And then the name is the Fox 9. I hope you understand now. You are saying you didn't understand, so I hope you understand. Okay. So I gave some examples. Even you find out, even that in our music we use, you find out in our education system now that formerly you'll be speaking only English in school. But now the government has made it like you can use at the, how do you call it, primary and then JHS level, basic level, yes. You see that they can use, they teach them Gan, Akan, Fanti, am I mixing the things up? Hausa, depending on the region you find yourself in, right? Yes. So my colleague even correcting me, says, you see, me and those terms. So they can use our local, and all those things are the part of indigenization policy. We want to make the things like for you to know that this belongs to Ghana, right? So that is what indigenization policy is all about. Okay, so let's see that this indigenization policy, is it important, or is it important or not? Is it important to promote indigenization? If it is good for every country to have indigenization, let me know, because from what I'm saying, I think it's good, because if we leave every country leaves everything like that, you see that foreigners and other people may take over the country, and then a time will come they decide to go to their places, the country will be left with suffering, right? So let's see if this is good. How do we promote indigenization? How do we do that? So one of the things, so I'll try and mention 4 or 5. One, you can also, I'm mentioning, it's not like in any order, I'm just saying 1, 2, 3. Okay, so number 1, you can do protection of indigenous enterprises. So government can do laws to protect the businesses in Ghana. If you I've been telling you to be watching news, right? Those of you who like watching only entertainment news, please watch the business news. Okay, when you watch the business news, you hear something going on with the US trying to put tax on goods that are not produced from US. So any other country that will bring any good from any other country to US must pay a 10% tax, which is, and people will be thinking that is wicked from US. So when I'm carrying something, assuming from Ghana, and I've paid the shipping fee and everything for it to get to US, I must pay 10% again before the thing gets to the market. It means obviously the price of my things will be expensive than those that are there. You should know that this policy they are applying there is called indigenization. They are trying to protect the industries that they have there. So because their things will now be cheaper than those they have imported to their country, people will rather buy their own. So if you had that in Ghana here, we call it made in Ghana. We tell you buy made in Ghana goods. You see, in that way we are protecting the little businesses we have in Ghana. So Ghanaian businesses can also grow. So number 1, protection of indigenous or local enterprises. Okay. Number 2, no matter how, this topic is under industrialization, right? No matter how you are encouraging people to put up industries. So when I'm turning the conversation towards industrialization, I hope you understand industries, because our main focus is about industries right now. If you want people to put up industries, and then they go to school and you teach them book like read and write, go and write, read, write, pass exam and go, how would they set up industries? I hope you're getting it. So government must set up places where they can get technological like knowledge from. For instance, if you are someone who wants to set up a particular business, and you want to know which machines, which technology you can apply to make things easier for you, the government can set up such places, and then you can go and find out, oh, I'm into this business, and most of them should be free. Okay, oh, I'm a Ghanaian, so for you to qualify to go there, should be Ghanaian or you should be a citizen. Then you go there, okay, please, I want to be into this business, and these are some of the things I want to do. Which technology do you think would be appropriate to help me do well and make more profits? After, when you make more profit, the government also make more money. Then they give you that free advice. If not, you have to go and employ someone who has a technology from another country who come and be in Ghana again as a foreigner. which we don't. We want Ghanaians to be those who have the technology. Okay, so we have to establish technological consultancy centers, so where you can go and consult people who are into technology, okay, especially free of charge, as long as you're a Ghanaian. So the third point is that they should give tax holidays. People pay tax a lot. People pay tax. In fact, if you take, even you are a worker, if you take your salary and your pay slip, okay, the paper that the whatever the statement they give you in relation to your salary, you will see that they write your tax. The tax they take, when you look at the tax, every month, you don't even know what to do. That money, assuming you don't take it for 10 months, hey, you can use to do a lot of things. But if you're a business and then they take, even those are workers, so can you imagine a business? Most businesses pay more tax than common workers, right? So if you have a little this in profit, and then you are supposed to pay a lot of your money in the name of tax to the government, it means at the end it will not help you. That money can be given to you to do other things. So people apply for tax holidays, right? Even workers try to apply for it. How much more businesses? So a business, assuming you apply for tax holiday, the government can give you, so they do that. So the government, we are encouraging that to make sure we promote indigenization. It's the government must encourage more tax holidays for businesses that are local. It's not international ones. I think the last time they made they were debating something in parliament. That was against the previous government, right? And it was about Casapreco. They were going to import some machines into their business, and cost, so I think it was around almost 300 to 400 million dollars. I mean, that's the free tax they said they wanted to, they should give them. They will not pay, and that money should have been a tax. $1 million, so 300 something $1 million. It was supposed to be a tax they were supposed to pay to Ghana. That's a business in Ghana, Abba. Can you imagine what that money would have done to them? And they were asking the government that the government should give them that holiday, that free thing. So that money that they would take would have helped them to acquire more of the machines. Because they wanted to acquire the machines, but the tax they were going to pay on that thing was going to take that huge amount. So you can imagine if they give businesses tax holiday, it means to encourage more people to go into what business, right? And also the government should also try, that's a point for the fourth point, right? The fourth point is that the government should try and give capital to people, workers, right? They set up merchants bank. They set up banks for specific reasons. They set up ADB probably purposely for agriculture things, right? But the merchant bank that was set up for how do you call it, business, those who want to do into production, business, those things can go there for money. But the fact is that if you go to those places, to those banks, right, is the interest rate encouraging? Because you go and the interest rate they mention to you, realize that you're going to use all your profits to pay for your as interest. So for that reason, the government should help provide capital, but at least the interest rate should be low. So if you go, you know that okay, I'll pay 5%, 10%. You are encouraged knowing that, oh, if my profits, if I take even 10% out, I can have something small left. Then people will be encouraged to undertake businesses in Ghana. I hope that is clear. So please, if you don't understand something, let me know, okay? Let me know. So the another point I want to add, which is the fifth point I'm sure I'm mentioning, is that we should not only provide a place where people can go and ask about technology things. We should also make sure that we provide technical education. Education. We should provide technical education. Thankfully, I think that is government is trying to do that. Based on, we have technical schools, right? So we have so many technical schools that will teach you hands-off on experience. I think in our school, for instance, we have the vocational aspect, where you have people who are into home econ, sewing and cooking, but we can have other aspects too, so which we have. The government is doing well in that, so they should provide more. So you can, if you want to do woodwork, carpentry is there, metal work, it is there. How do you call it, those who want to be contractors or whatever, it is there. It's not because you wait until you get to, what about you can't get money to pay for the tertiary education, but at least at the senior high level you should be able to learn those things. So when you come out and you don't continue, you can be able to set up your company or your business with the knowledge you have acquired. So I think at that point the government is doing well. So let me recap the point. protection. The first one is protection of indigenous or local businesses. Point two, establishment of technology consultancy center. The words are big in my mouth. Okay. And then the third one, they should give tax holidays for what? Indigenous enterprise or businesses. The fourth one is providing capital for Ghanaians, right, who want to undertake businesses, but the interest rate should be low. Okay. The fifth one, provision of what? Technical education. Okay. So let's see, from what we have said, is it okay? Is it good for us to have indigenization, which I have agreed already, but I don't know about you. So for us to make laws that okay, some things should belong to only Ghanaians and Ghanaians only, Ghanaians should be encouraged to participate in business. Is it good? Let's see some of the advantages if we take this serious, right? If any country, because every country has these policies, indigenization policies. So let's see some of the benefits of having indigenization. What happens is that number one, it creates more employment opportunities because you are encouraging everybody to go and work, like go and set up businesses. Go and do the, as long as you are in Ghana, we will help you to set up businesses. We encourage you that you have your own business because you are in Ghana, right? Try and build schools, try and build hospitals, try and get into any business in Ghana. So when people are doing that, that's what creates more employment opportunities. I mean, people have jobs, right? If you have your company, you have your job. If you have an industry, you have your job, right? Okay. And also we are saying that aside that, number two, it also increases productivity in the country, right? You see people producing more things, more goods and services. Okay. And also we are able to retain, so retention of business profit in the country. We are able to retain business profits in the country. What we mean is that if the people who are into the businesses are not Ghanaians, for instance, we take a company like Melcom, and then basically a Lebanese company. So I don't know whether nowadays we have Ghanaians who are shareholders in it. So if you have a Lebanese company and then they decide to make a lot of profit, you can see almost every branch you have Melcom. So if they make profits, that profits stay in Ghana here to create more businesses, do other stuff. They carry the profit because they're Lebanese to Lebanon. They carry it to their country. It means our money keep going. The more money, they make more money in Ghana and carry it away. If Chinese come and do the Galamsey and other businesses they are doing, when they finish, the more money, any money they get, they carry to their country. It will not help Ghana, you see. But once we have indigenization, it means that all those businesses will belong to Ghanaians. So every money we see stay in Ghana. It stays in Ghana. And once the money stays in Ghana, it means you can create more opportunities. You can help the government to do. You can do so many things, right? Okay. And also, once that is done, the fourth point is that we have reduction of foreign control of the economy. We reduce the control of the foreigners of the economy. In those times before independence, almost everything in the country was being owned by the British. So they control what you should do. Some people can even threaten you that if you don't do this, you will stop the company. Assuming they gave us light, electricity. So that was one of the things we get them that they took serious. If our lights, ECG, grid coal, and all those things belong to, assuming they belong to the British, they can wake up one day and say, today we want Ghana to be dark, no light, because the company is theirs. It means the whole country will be dark, black, right? Because they have control over the lights in the country. So, but because of the indigenization policy, the government can say that no, these particular businesses cannot be handled by foreigners. It can only be handled by what? Ghanaians. So because it's a Ghanaian, the person is a Ghanaian or the owners are Ghanaians. I'm not sure Ghanaians will wake up and say everybody should sleep in the darkness. After all, if everybody sleeps in the darkness, you yourself you're going to sleep in the darkness. You see. So it reduces the foreign control over an economy, right? Because they don't have much say. Because they don't have most of their businesses here. And also the fifth point is that we have diversification of the economy. Almost everybody, like you guys, I know that you guys have so many wonderful plans in your head that you want to do, business you want to do. But you'll be wondering, and how do can I put up businesses in Ghana or whatever it is? But because you know that there's a policy like this that helps you and encourages you, you go ahead and put up your so many wonderful ideas that are turning tap into business. So in Ghana, if you say Ghana, we want those who produce AI things. We have Ghanaian ones. those who do, I'm not talking about the AIT, we want farmers who are into plantation farming, we have Ghanaians. I hope we're getting it. We want who are those who manufacture cars, we have Ghanaians. So you can see that Ghana is like, we can do everything. We have so many things we are able to do just because of indigenization. Can you see that it's a very powerful thing? Okay. And then lastly, one of my points is that it helps to stabilize the economy. What we mean by stabilize is that it makes the economy safe. So if, for instance, let's assume that you and I, right, assume we wake up, mommy and daddy are those who give us a place to sleep, what we should eat, what we should wear, and everything. If we do, maybe we do anything, we do anything small or anything that they maybe we disobey them in any way, and they say that today you are not going to eat, it means you are going to do fasting, unplanned fasting. Why? Because they own the resources, right? They decide what to eat. So it's like as you are there, your life is not stable. I'm not saying life is it's not stable because it is dependent on mommy and daddy. By your case, I'm not sure your case is very stable because mommy and daddy loves you, and no matter what, they are going to be there, right? So assuming that you are a country and most of your businesses are in the hands of foreigners, your country cannot be stable because at any time they just say that okay, we don't want to undertake this business again, we are going back to our country. What will you do? If it is light, and then assuming ECG, even with our doom, so we like it like that, at least you have to charge your phones, you have to at least put your things down, let the fridge freeze a little before it goes off. Assuming ECG, in Ghana water company, like tap will come once, I don't know about your place, come once in every 10 years or something. I didn't say 10 years. Once in every week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then assuming those companies were not for Ghanaians, they were not indigenized, they were not Ghanaian, they are their company, they were foreign company, and they wake up one and they say, oh, those who provide life for us are saying they will no more want to stay in Ghana, they are going. Our company will not be stable because anything can happen to us at any time. Thankfully, we have indigenization that prevents people from owning some particular serious things in Ghana. Hope you are getting it. Not only in Ghana, as I said, these policies in every country. So before those who want to travel to other countries and everything, that's why people go to other countries and then they go and take some business at the end, they lose everything. Why? Because they don't know about these policies. So they think that, oh, I have this idea, I can do this. But some things are only reserved for the indigenous people, for the citizens, for the local people. If you are not a local person there, I mean, not a local as in local, you are not a citizen there, or you are not a member of that country, and you say because you are denying business plans, you're going to do it there at the end, just because of indigenization, you may end up losing everything. So you have to take note of this, okay? Not only for Buku, at least to apply to your life too, okay? So now let's see what are some of the disadvantages of indigenization, right? We are saying that one, it discourages foreign investors to invest in a country because assuming that you are here and then I always say that when you go to Togo, right, their bread, they have French bread. Most of the common bread they have that is common is French bread. And I've been having this like, if you eat Ghana bread, our butter bread, our brown bread, our sugar bread, especially the sugar one. Anyway, I'm not so much into sugar, so I'm not saying you like the sugar one. Sugar bread, and you take it and go to Togo and eat their sugar bread, you can see the difference. Our own is so nice, so and I was like, wow, can you imagine that you want to go to Togo and then go and put up a bakery to bake Ghana bread in Togo, and then you get there and then you say that, oh, some businesses in Togo are reserved for Togolese. Will it encourage you to go there and set up a business? It will not encourage you, right? So the same way, but some we are thinking that no matter how good it is, it could be in Togo, Nigeria, US, India, UK, and then they may have interest of having, they say, oh, Ghana don't have those things. In India or in Nigeria or in China, we have these things. I want to come to Ghana and set up that business. And they say, no, those things, such businesses are reserved for Ghanaians. It discourages them. So it discourages foreign investors in the country. Okay. And also, it increases the gap between the rich and the poor. This policy is, though it is very good, what happens is that if you are not having enough money, like you are not a rich person, you cannot set up businesses because sometimes how do you call it, the capital requirement and everything, maybe the poor person may not be able to afford. So for that reason, he sits down and says, I can't do anything. It's only the rich that can do it. And you see the rich, with more industry and everything, the poor person who doesn't have cannot do anything because of these laws. And especially that poor person comes from another country, is a foreigner, and he comes to Ghana, oh, I'll come and hustle small. Just like most of us, our parents and our people who go to other countries, the US, UK, other countries, and say, oh, there's no money in Ghana. But I beg you, I told you there's money, a lot of money in Ghana. I told you already. So as at this moment, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of money in Ghana. You have to make your part, okay? And they go to those countries as foreigners and they want to set up small. You know that place, they can prosper small. They can, when they tell them, no, no, these jobs are meant for only maybe Americans. As if you're Ghanaian, you can't do this job. So it means we don't have already. You have come so that we can come here and hustle small. We said those jobs are not for us. So which one should we do? And you see, mostly the ones that they deliberate for other countries or foreigners are the ones that are not so much prominent. Are you getting it? So it makes the rich be more richer and the poor will be poorer, right? The poor person will have struggled. Last time I was watching, some people struggle to the bush and everything, and when it gets to the US, they tell you that this job you cannot do it, and how the person has managed to get there in his poor state. And you are saying this job you cannot do it. And recently we were fighting about how other stuff that will bring it down, right? So you can see that it also makes the rich more richer and the poor more poorer, which is, no matter how good it is not good for humanity, right? Let's all accept that we all, no matter which country we belong to, we are all one people. So whatever I can do in Togo, I can do in Ghana, as long as I'm not doing any criminal acts. I will be getting. So that's one disadvantage, right? It increases the gap between the rich and the poor, and then it can also cause political instability, right? What happens is that, you remember the Nigerian one that happened? If they wanted to be violent, that will not help us. But Ghanaians went violent, okay? For instance, see what happened even in the South African one. They packed, like, not only Ghanaians, they were killing foreigners as long as you were foreigners. And it became like people, like, vandalizing people's shop, destroying things because you are not a South African and you are there setting up businesses. And it looked like war. So you can see police on it. Everything was bazaar, like. So the country was unstable for a while before I think they intervened. So if those things continue, can result into a war because the people don't see anything fair to being fair to them. I set up my business and you tell me that I should leave the country because I am not South African. What do you mean by that? Is that they are not anything, when they come to do that, they steal your everything that you, all the capital you have, you steal and destroy everything. It can result in a fight. Can you imagine Togolese will say that, oh, you're attacking Togolese in Togo, you also attack you are attacking Togolese in Ghana, then you also attack the Ghanaians in Togo. Can you imagine what will happen? This is not fine. So it causes political instability. And then, aside that too, the firms don't enjoy economies of scale. That economies of scale, we're going to do it when we do sort of production, okay? We will see it there. Those are basically advantages that the companies enjoy when they produce on a large scale, okay? You say the only Ghanaians should do some particular businesses, and they can be able to join hands with other countries and other foreigners to make the business big, to enjoy more profit. And you say no, it's only meant for Ghanaians. It means the companies will also suffer. So let me say the point again. It discourages foreign investors. Number 2, increases the gap between the rich and the poor. Number 3, political instability. And number 4, the firms don't enjoy economies of scale. If there's any question you may ask for me to answer you. If not, we can move to commercialization. These things I'm saying, you will see them a lot in the past question. So at the end of the slide, I've quoted the years. There are a lot, the years that you see them in, right? So they are very important too. So, and as I told you, we are not really only learning them for the book. As we are doing them for the book, we also want to make sure that we are also learning them to apply to our lives, right? So if you have any question, any disturbing question because of what we have done so far, as in relation to indigenization, which is under industrialization, please let me know. Just type it, let me know, and then I will answer. Okay, if you type the question, don't take it away. So let's see, don't take it away, so that we can see, others can see the question and relate it to it. Okay, so let's if there are no questions, but if you have questions, you can type it and I will answer. Okay, so in the absence of any question for now, let's move from indigenization to commercialization. Commercialization. We want to find out what we mean by commercialization. So that is what we want to find out. What do we mean by commercialization? So commercialization is a government policy. So all of them are government policies, okay? Industrialization is a policy by the government. Individual cannot get up and do policies. It's the government that makes policies, right, for a country. So it's a government policy. This and that is aimed at making state-owned enterprise to become more efficient and profitable instead of depending on the government's subventions. What it means is that I'm saying that it's a government policy. Commercialization is a government policy aimed at making state-owned enterprises to become more efficient and profitable instead of depending on government subventions. So what this means is that commercialization is when the government takes the companies, businesses, industries that belongs to the government, and then they make it more efficient, more profitable, so that they don't come back. Because normally when you are reading the budget and you want to listen to some of the things the debate they do after reading the budget, you see that companies will come be asking the government, we need some money from you to be able to purchase this. The money, but you are a company, you should be able to get those money for yourself. It's because those companies are not commercialized, right? So to avoid the government being the one maybe paying the workers in that company, paying lights bills, water bills, all those things in that company, which the company could have done by itself, it means that the company is just doing nothing, right? So the government will want to commercialize it. What this means is that the government want to make the state owned. That means the ownership of the businesses is by the state, right? So any businesses that is owned by the state, government want to make it more efficient and more profitable. So the business not come asking the government that give us money to pay the workers, give us money to do no. For whatever money they have gotten, they can be able to pay their workers from the money and everything, and even make profits and give it to the government. Okay. And let's see examples of such in Ghana. For instance, you have the cocoa production in Ghana. Formerly, you just have only small farmers in their own corner somewhere. They produce cocoa and then sometimes they send it to other countries to sell. The government said, this one, no, cocoa is something Ghana produce. We want to make it commercialized. So they set up cocoa board, right? It's a big, huge business. So cocoa board right now is in charge of making sure that if the farmers, you help the farmers to be able to maybe grow a lot of cocoa, they bring it to the government like cocoa board, they collect it and then they sell it on behalf of the farmers. So that makes it easier for the farmers. In that case, you're able to do, that's why cocoa is supposed to generate a lot of money for Ghana. That's why we both did that, we generate cocoa, because it has been what? Commercialized. The government can commercialize even a cassava farm. That okay, you have cassava farms in the country. We want to make sure that it becomes very efficient, giving a lot of jobs to people, giving people a lot of money and everything. In that case, we are commercializing it. You are going to make things, deliberate things that will make sure that we boost the market for the cassava farmer or something, farmers, and then at the end, it brings revenue to the government. I hope you are getting it. So let's see what we mean by also. So this one, normally we compare it to privatization. There was a past question they asked that differentiate between commercialization and privatization because they are somehow similar but different. So let's see what we mean by privatization. So we have said that commercialization, right, already is like you have a state-owned enterprise, but we want to make the company, the government's businesses more profitable, more efficient. Okay, but let's see what we mean by privatization. Privatization is a policy by which the ownership and the control of the state-owned enterprise is transferred from the government to the private sector. Right. So this is to make sure that the company is more profitable, more efficient. Are you saying they are somewhat similar? I hope you are getting it. Commercialization, that one, the government's business, it still stays as a government business, but the government will make it more profitable. When it comes to privatization, the government decides that I don't want this business for my own. I want to sell the business to a private sector. So this business is no more for Ghana. It belongs to the private sector. It's not for Ghana, I mean for the government, but it belongs to the private sector. So the government can say, okay, I'm selling this company. For instance, the government sold the Ghana Telecom, right? Sold it out. So any company that will buy, you get it. So I think Ghana Telecom, I think Vodafone and whatever. So it's no more for the government owned. It became Vodafone that is now I think Telecel, right? The Accra Brewery Company. It was there like in the 1970 something, and it was for the government. But the government decided to sell that company out so now it belongs to the private sector, and they are still. So if you drink better malt, you drink what's that drink that they do at the chalet or something. Never drink this, those drinks. It is from the Ghana Accra Brewery Company, right? It used to be for the government, but the government has given it out. Once the government gives it out to the private sector, he has privatized it, have sold it out to the private sector. You take and you be the owner of the company, make it work. After that is done, and these people save their jobs. You get it. If you also know the Ghana Commercial Bank, right? Ghana Commercial Bank is supposed to be for Ghana, right? Government realized that Ghana Commercial Bank always, as a bank, always be in debt, always be in debt. The government just said, okay, I don't want to be the one taking care of Ghana Commercial Bank anymore. I don't want to be the owner of the Ghana Commercial Bank. What I'm going to do is I'm going to privatize it. So the government transferred most of the share, like more or less sold the bank to the private sector. And you know that anything that belongs to the private sector, it does well. Once it's for the government, obviously you know what happens, right? Which you're going to see very soon. That thing that belongs to government, which you will see in nationalization, you don't handle it well at all. So for that reason, government will decide to, so Ghana Commercial Bank, as you see, is not solely owned by Ghana anymore. I mean, for the government anymore. It belongs to a private company now. I mean, a private bank. What we mean by when we get to what they did, right? So some of the this thing are the cocoa product processing company, Golden Tulip. Golden Tulip used to be, I think it had some name. Yeah, they used to have. It was a state hotel. That hotel belonged to Ghana. I mean the state, but the government sold it out and gave it to the private sector. That's why it's still surviving, right? And now they changed the name to Golden Tulip, right? I think those times it was Intercontinental, not some name hotel, but now it is Golden Tulip. It doesn't belong to the government anymore. It belongs to the private sector, the private individual. ADB, Agricultural Development Bank. The bank was put out to help farmers, but the way they're handling things, every time you see they are into debt. So the government gave out the bank to the private sector, and you can see that it's really working. Once it goes to the private sector's hand, it's really working because the main aim of the government to make the company more efficient and productive. So now let's try answering that past question. When you do that, you will see. You want to see the difference between privatization and commercialization. Commercialization, the government still is the owner of the business, right? But he tries to make the business the enterprise more efficient and then more profitable, okay, by using various means to make sure it's profitable. But when it comes to privatization, the government says, okay, I don't want to be the owner of the business anymore. I want to handle the ownership to the private sector. They should be the owners now. I don't want to be the owner anymore. And that one, the main aim is to do what? To make sure the business is more profitable and efficient. So let's note, because you know this thing, they are both the commercialization and privatization. They aim towards efficiency. So the main aim of privatization and commercialization is to make sure that the companies are efficient and profitable. But I want you to note this, right? That if the government wants to do privatization, it's not like they carry the company and all what they do is that I'm selling Ghana Telecom and you really want to come and buy. It's not all the time about call that one outright sale. So Ghana can just get up and say, okay, ECG is always owing. That's why we're not going to buy whatever gas or whatever it is. That's why we are having bunzo. So I'm selling ECG. Any company, private company can come and handle it. And I am sure if they give ECG to any private company, ECG, we are not going to have bunzo. But based on some situations, the best thing to do is to make sure that maybe you commercialize this, but not to privatize it, right? So government can do like sell the entire company out, wash the hand off. I'm selling it to how much? Maybe $20 million. Take and sold it, finish. I have nothing to do with it. Or the government can tell you, say, okay, I'm selling some part of the company. I'm selling some shares. So I'm the owner of the company. But I don't want to be only, I want to own only 20% of the company. You can, any private person who wants part can come and own 80% or something. And you know, once that happens, people like the private sector, when they are into something, the thing must work. So I hope you are getting it. So in that case, sometimes you can sell shares. When you sell the shares of the company and the government is not the sole owner anymore, then automatically you are privatized the company because you are no more the sole owner. You are giving some of the ownership to the private sector. Or sometimes the government can say, okay, I'm giving out this business for the private sector to handle for 5 or 10 years, but they should pay me what a profit or something. They should pay me an interest or something. So that one they can lease the companies out, right? Also, they can do joint ventures. They can say, okay, I want some private sector and I should do 50-50. They come together and build the company. And remember, once the private people are into it, the company will work. It's like magic. Private sector. If you like, you compare even common school, compare private and the government school. You know that when you take the private school, the teacher must be in class this time. The teacher is there. But the government school, the teacher must be there this time. I'm not sure I'm part, right? So the government school, the teacher must be there maybe by 10 o'clock. You see that by 10:20, the teacher is still lingering around maybe somewhere. You say, oh, go, I'm coming. You see, because it is government, after all, it's government work. That's what we keep saying, which is not a good thing anyway. When it's a private school, exactly, in fact, if 10 o'clock, exactly 9 something, you are in your class. I hope you are getting it. You can see the seriousness attached to it. So it is good to commercialize and then privatize. But let's remember that it's not all the things that we can commercialize that will be good for us to commercialize, right? I mean that will be good for us to privatize. Commercialize, I think it is good. But when you do that, sometimes takes how do we call it, um, let's quickly jump to this one and we can get the answer out. So let's see some of the reasons why we have commercialization, right? Why the government want to commercialize or privatize his businesses. Government has a business and I say, okay, I want to commercialize the business. I want to make sure that this business makes more profit for me. You were saying that the business, your main aim was to attack, was to get the welfare of the people. Now all of a sudden your main aim is to make sure that you make more profit or something. What are some of the reasons behind that, right? So remember, privatization and then commercialization, they are like twins. But I told you the difference. One is that they give it to the private sector. The other one, they don't give it. The government still has it. If they commercialize, still has it, but makes it more efficient. So one of the reasons is that when government wants to encourage competition, okay. So government starts how doing commercializing or privatizing a company. It means that he's encouraging competition. Other people can come and compete, can come and be part of the business. We can help us to go to do more well, better. So and once there's competition, everybody is fighting to make sure that who will win, you get that thing. So to encourage competition. If not, sometimes the government will just say that okay, I should be the only owner of this company in the country, which doesn't always help. So by allowing privatization, it means you are encouraging the private sector that you can also do some of this business. You get it. Secondly, it's helped the government to rather get revenue from them. You know, the government being the one giving money out to the companies. Oh, we made losses. Sometimes you should be listening to this news and you see that they'll be saying that ECG made a huge loss. You know, they'll be mentioning things. The Ghana Water Company made a huge loss. Why? Like, someone said that. Why would you be saying those things? You have a company, you have managers and everything. Why? So government, you have to give us this money. You don't pay this money, we can't do this. For instance, you come to schools, for instance, they will say, okay, government, our water is finished, our lights is finished, pay water bill, pay light bill, all those things. But once the government commercialize or privatize those businesses, instead of the government being the one paying things, the companies rather make more money and bring money or revenue to the government. So these are some of the reasons, right? And then reason number 3, right, to encourage effective participation. Once these businesses are privatized or commercialized, see people become intentional, they become hardworking, they become effective in their work, and that increases productivity. You get it? Because once the private sector is in, if you feel small, you lose your job. It's not government anymore. You get it? So that is one reason too. Another reason is that sometimes the government wants to do a lot of things, but it doesn't have enough capital. So by realizing that the private sector may have enough capital to do a lot of things that um, the government wishes to do. For instance, if you take, relating us to I keep relating us to the ECG thing. We don't have it. There's some excuse they'll give for the the doomsday we are having or the light outs we are having is that we don't have enough money to buy gas, fuel for the plants to work with and everything, right? And then if you don't have enough money, you don't have enough capital. By assuming that we commercialize or privatize ECG, all of a sudden, all those problems will be gone because there will be efficient management. Are you getting it? And in that case, we can get more capital, but the private sector will bring huge money into it to make sure that they invest in it, to make sure the light is stable for people to have lights and then get their money out. So most sometimes the government doesn't have enough money. What the government does is that he will just privatize or commercialize it. So for instance, like the Ghana Telecom thing, things were changing, systems were changing, and then Ghana doesn't have enough money to pump more money into the Ghana Telecom thing. So they sold it out to Vodafone. I think this one was to One Touch and then it went to Vodafone, right? And now it is, I think, it's Telecel. So the government sold it out because we don't have enough money to be able to invest in the company. And obviously also to do what? One of the reasons also is that it will improve efficiency. That one is obvious. Once something become a private person's something, you are going to do what? Make the thing more efficient, right? I want you to note the past questions behind this. I'm having the other ones on nationalization. The next one we want to treat is nationalization. So I don't want it to be so bulky. So let's just recap what we did for today so that the next time we meet, we just finish up with nationalization on nationalization, right? So let me leave the nationalization for today. I forgot doing next week. Yes, we are going to meet. And let's recap what we did for today, okay? So for today, we treated indigenization. So indigenization as part of industrialization. That is a policy that the government has made, and the aim is to make sure that it encourages the citizens of the country to take part in economic activities such as creation of more industries and those things. To get it, this is to make sure we reduce capital flight away, people carrying money from Ghana away from us when we are supposed to have it. And then we also saw some examples of indigenization. We saw how can a country promote indigenization. So we saw those things, and we mentioned, I think I mentioned 5 or 6 points. I can remember I can mention at one point that you can give tax holidays to companies so they don't have to be using all their money to be paying tax, right? So we can promote indigenization. So at this point, I'm sure that if you hear other countries saying that this one belongs to only Ghanaians, it only belongs to only Nigerians, or belongs to only South Africans, foreigners, you should understand them from the point of view that they are applying what? Indigenization, okay? And then we also went to the advantages of indigenization. Then we mentioned one as it creates more employment. The more you encourage the citizens to set up businesses, industries, more people have jobs to do, okay? And then we also say that the money profits that we make is able to stay in that country. It doesn't go to other people's country. Because most of you, if you travel outside the country, when you make your money, you bring them to Ghana to come and build your houses. Why don't you build them there? You get it? Any money you get, you send it to your own country, which is, so when they start saying that, okay, once you are there, you can do some jobs, because once you do them, you make more money. You send the money out of their countries. You should understand them that it is indigenization policy, right? And then we also went to some of the disadvantages. No matter how good something is, it also have a bad effect, because you think because you are in Ghana, some these businesses belong to me and you are enjoying it. What if you also were a visitor or you were a foreigner in a different country and they are applying the same laws to you? That you have a nice plan, but they'll say because you are not a Nigerian, you can't do it. Because you are not an American, you can't do it. Because you are not a UK citizen, a British, you can't do it. You see, so those some of those, no matter how good it is, they are also bad, right? So I also mentioned some of the disadvantages, and then we went to commercialization, right? That the commercialization is when the policy that the government makes to make sure that the state-owned enterprise, businesses that belong to the government, become more efficient, more profitable. We also saw that the privatization, the governments can take government businesses and sell it out to the private sector. So these are some of the things we did today, and we saw the difference between commercialization and privatization. Commercialization and privatization. These are your past questions. So please, as we are learning for life purposes too, let's take note of the past question. After all, our main aim to is to make sure that we pass our WASI too. Okay, so don't be piling them up. Okay, just take your textbooks, look for questions under industrialization. But the slides are, I want us to finish the industrialization by God willing next week. If not, I don't want to put them piece. Right. So once we finish God willing next week, I'm sure we should be finished industrialization. Then I'll put the entire slide on the platform. Then you can see I've stated some of the past questions there. But you can just take your textbooks and then you see it inside. So we saw some of the reasons and then that is what we did. So God willing next week, we're going to finish, God willing, we'll finish the rest of the industrialization God willing next week. And then finish with it and see if we have a week. I know we are returning back to the 7th, yes. So we'll see the rest we can do. Maybe a new topic that we can do that will cover up maybe within that 2 weeks. So we don't take a topic we cannot complete before we come back. Okay. So at this point, if you have any question, you let me know either here right now or the platform. You let me know, and then also the slides. Once we are done, God will next week, I will put it on the platform. Or if you want, right, I can also still put the slides on the platform for you to see. If you want that one too, let me know. If you want me to put it like that, because the rest we are not done with that one yet. If you want me to put it to, I can send it to you right now. Is it okay for me to send it to you today? Is that fine for me to send a slide for you today, or I should wait God willing next week? Please let me know. Okay. So if there's no question, then we can call the class a day, and then let's make sure that we make time to keep learning. Okay, don't learn at don't be learning only economics. Make sure you learn other subjects. So when you pass, it will be a whole passing. Okay, whole passing. Whatever other classes you are attending to, please take the thing seriously, and then at the end we will all be happy when you pass your papers, and then you are applying all the things you have taught you. Okay. So as at this moment, I'm not seeing any questions. So in that case, we can call it a day, and then I'll see you, God willing, next week, same time. Thank you so much for being active. Thanks to our Indian friends who have been with us today. And then thank you all for participating in today's class. I'll see you, God willing, next week. Okay. Bye.